Hey guys, welcome back to the Come Series. And it has started to rain again. Oh wow. This is going to be one rainy day. One rainy day. Oh well, we just have to do our best. I'm going to raise my voice, keep raising my voice to ensure that you can really hear what I'm saying. So, what do you have in your hand? What do you have in your hand? This is actually a direct reference to a passage in scripture concerning one of my all-time favorite characters in the Bible. And you know, if you guessed correctly and you said Moses, you were right on the money. Moses is actually one of my favorite characters in the Bible. Um, I'm still trying to decide between he and David. I think David is my ultimate character. Well, Jesus is the ultimate, but David is is pretty up there, and Moses because I sort of grew up on Moses. If you've watched the Ten Commandments, right? That old Hollywood movie about Moses delivering the Israelites, right? One of my favorite movies of all time. I was just so in love with the character, and it it spoke to me. It just spoke to me. So at the time that Moses was appointed as the leader by God, I'm sure you remember his story. He had murdered an Egyptian. He had fled Egypt, and he had been in exile essentially for about 40 years till the time he was 80, which was when God decided that that was the right time for him to start um, his true assignment. So he called Moses to the burning bush, and God spoke to him. And if you recall, Moses was trying to extricate himself from the situation. It was like, no, 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 God, I don't think I can do this. I'm this, I'm that, I can't talk, I'm this, that, and the other. And God was having none of it. And then finally, God asked him a question. He said, "What do you have in your hand?" And that was epic. That's an epic line right there because most of the time when we're faced with adverse situations or adverse circumstances, or if we have a dream of becoming something or doing something great, some of the time we're intimidated, right, by those circumstances. We're like, oh wow, can I really do this? I don't even have the means. I don't have the financial capital. I don't have the people. I don't have. How am I supposed to get this thing done? But the question is, it's not what you don't have, it's what you do have. Because what you do have is the starting point. When you exercise what you have, things begin to fall in place. So far, it is geared for the right thing. When God asked Moses the question, "What do you have in your hand?" he was referring to the staff, right? The staff that Moses had, which was a shepherd's staff. Ordinarily, that's like an ordinary item, especially back in those days. A shepherd's staff was used for herding sheep and all that. It wasn't supposed to be used for anything extraordinary. But God used that staff to make miracles: the parting of the Red Sea, the turning of water into blood, and all of those things. Raise your staff against Egypt and let this, that, and the other happen. All of that came from the staff. Moses had the staff all along, but it was through the power of God, through that staff, that things started to happen. So what God is saying is, look, the thing that you have in your hand is what you tend to discount, is what you tend to look down on, is what you think itself, well, meh, ordinary stuff. I mean, what's the big deal? But God is saying, look, that thing that you think is so little, so insignificant, that is what I want to use, right? Because you have to understand how God works. God, God is everything, right? But you must be able to acknowledge that He is the one that is doing stuff. It's not you, right? He desires to work through you. So when you acknowledge Him, right, He's able to use you and your seemingly insignificant circumstances to accomplish the impossible, right? And people are fond of looking at other people who they think are significant. And but meanwhile, it is those seemingly insignificant people that tend to cause things to happen. Martin Luther King was a short, itinerant preacher from the South who thought he would be able to change the world or to change America or to cause a revolution, but he did with the power of God walking through him and working through him, right? So, what do you have in your hand? If you want to start a great business, it's not what you don't have. You might not have a 1 billion naira or $1 billion or whatever it is, but you have something. You would have an idea. Start with what you have. Start with what you have and watch things unfold. So far as you're convinced that this idea is God given, this idea is the true vision for your life, start with it. It doesn't matter whether it seems impossible, whether it seems mountainous, whether it seems that it can never happen. Start. Consistent with it, be committed to it, and watch things begin to explode. I guarantee you they will. I guarantee you. What do you have in your hand?